Hello and welcome to the We Are Birmingham podcast. I'm Chris Golding.
I'm Matthew Elliott.
And as ever, we're joined by the vegan. Good afternoon. I was going to say evening, but we're just about afternoon. Good evening, afternoon, Dave. How are we doing?
Still technically afternoon, I think. For those that haven't guessed by now, we're recording early for once.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the evening. Okay.
Or it could be morning.
Maybe not in Northern Ireland. In Northern Ireland, maybe. Different day out there, isn't it?
It's a different year. About 20 years ago.
So, how are we feeling, boys? Our little catch up was probably over the weekend. I don't really need one other than to say how's the hangover? How's the ring sting over there?
I didn't have a hangover, but the chili paste came back to haunt me a couple of times on Sunday.
So for those of you don't know, Matthew you got a free meal, didn't you? Who bought your meal?
You bought my meal, Dave. Didn't hold it against me. I had chicken as well.
Yeah. you essentially paid for it though, Chewy, didn't you?
I paid for it the next day. Yeah, a little bit.
So basically, Chris and Matthew, you both had the same thing, didn't you? We went out for some food with Almagia in tow as well. You both had the same thing. Chris, you wanted yours a bit spicier, to which the waiter said, basically, are you fucking serious?
No, he didn't say that. He said, do you want medium or spicy? And I said, can I have it like in between, slightly spicy? He said, I'll put the spices on the side for you. So it came in like a little plate of chilies.
And because
sauce.
you ate so few of them, Matthew basically just had the spoonful at the end, didn't you?
Yeah, when I was dipping into it, and I quite liked it. It was quite hot, and then I think from memory, you dared me to eat a spoonful, and then you told me if you do it, I'll pay for your meal, and I'm like, right, I'm doing that.
So what we learned,
as you've eaten it, he's then gone, no, lick the spoon, just to make sure. He's like, fuck, that was easy.
So we have learned from that you will, your sort of level for doing things for money is pretty
I'll do
low.
most things for money. Kids are expensive, man. I basically saved myself some new school shoes there, so it's good.
Like to help.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
But I mean, it was a cracking day out, wasn't it? A lot of people have said it was a good day out, great atmosphere and whatever, spoiled by the football. And we thought that those days were gone.
Loads of people, like obviously the people who listen to podcasts, family members, and it's like just people who haven't seen for me personally, I haven't seen for a while to catch up with, and then just bumping into random people we know as well is always good. So had a really, really good day, really good weekend to be fair, and yeah, I can't look forward to coming back and doing it again, hopefully in the next month or so. Thanks
to everyone who listens to the podcast that did come and see us as well, and thanks for the beers, those that bought them. I mean, that peach one that Dan got us on. I don't know what it was called, but it was dangerous, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
that was good.
I have moments where I can't remember bits and bobs. Like there's a few moments that have gone missing.
Do you remember much after 5:30?
Pass. I remember bits on and off. On that point, we're going to go in early before we even get talking about the game or anything with this.
Aye, send him to Cornea.
And this week, I'm sending myself to Cornea. Some people might have seen on Twitter that while I was a little bit drunk, I painted my nails in solidarity with
silver.
It was
Birmingham
like,
silver.
It was like shiny lilac, but it was the closest that I could get at short notice. But did it in solidarity with Stanley on Twitter, who'd got a lot of stick because he wanted his nails painted blue and white. But I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. Someone commented on there on my post and said, surely that's a lifetime ban. To which I then quoted it with a nasty tweet. And I imagine, I can't remember sending it. I can't remember even reading it.
I don't even think you were that drunk.
Yeah, I was. I wasn't even aware of it until I saw his message to me the day after for what I'd said. And at that point, said to him, do you want me to apologise publicly? Do you want me to take it down, leave it up and apologise for it or what? He said, no, just take it down. You don't need to apologise. Because of what I'd said, if people had seen it, that's not normally me. I assumed that at the time I was thinking, well, you're just being a dickhead about the nail thing and not being very nice. So I made a not very nice comment, which wasn't right. I'm big enough to own up to it. Anyone that saw it, I'm sorry. Sending myself to Cornea. So there we go. That's a wrong sound effect, but there we go. You can correct that, Dave.
I'll try. Just on that as well, for anyone that did see or didn't see Chris paint his nails, it was blindingly obvious Chris had never painted nails in his life. The amount of nail varnish he was attempting to put on a singular nail, you could have painted an entire finger with the amount you were trying to put on.
Some lovely girl did mine for me, didn't she? I went over.
Eventually.
I've never. Well, yeah. After the first one or two that went.
And then we were someone else, and you proceeded to paint his hand.
Did I?
Yeah, you started to do that, and then I jumped in and took over because you were taking a.
Steve, that was with us.
By the end of this episode, we'll have a whole list. We'll compile a list of things Golding doesn't remember he did.
I mean, so we're going to get onto the games now, but for the Reading game, I genuinely had to re-watch it the next day on catch up, just so that I've got some idea of what happened. And at one point, I found myself watching the game with one eye open because it was blurry through two eyes. It was like that's how bad I was. That I was like, I can't see, so I'm like trying to watch it through one eye, and it actually worked.
Did Chris do something to offend you ahead of the Reading game? Right to We Are Birmingham at
We Are Birmingham at gmail.com. No, it was a Reading game.
It was a Reading game, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't offend the people against last night's game, did you? Not we're aware of.
I kept a low profile. So get on to it.
So the Reading game then.
We should probably say no 15-second opinions this week either because of the short turnaround. Just our opinions.
Yeah.
So
let's have to make do, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I'm sure that we could probably anticipate both sides of the argument on the 15-second opinions and guess at what they are. For me, I think I differ a bit from you. The Reading game was. I think we were nervous.
100%.
We
was
were just on
an air
edge.
of nervousness about it, about everybody in the team actually.
Yeah.
Improved second half. Just what the fluidity of the play. Just there were moments, there were passages of play when things looked good, but there was a lot of errors, forced and unforced. Yet we still had a very high pass accuracy, and we still had quite a lot of possession across the game. But there was a number of just loose balls, and it didn't. And the three behind May, I thought, were all very, very disappointing.
But I think they all had their moments as well. There were like samples of what we can get from them.
I think Dembele only touched the ball 8 times, which was very low. But I mean,
so also probably worth noting then, if you're going to mention Dembele, that I think a couple of times him losing possession meant that we were under pressure at the back. That happened a couple of times, and it was with the goal as well that we conceded.
It is funny that because his pass accuracy was still his pass success was still like 90%. So I think he probably only gave the ball away once or twice at maximum.
Passing the ball,
yeah,
but it was losing possession, getting tackled.
Willemsen, I'm not sold on him yet, as we've already had the conversation. But when I found out afterwards that he went into that game injured and he was starting, we've just spent £3.5 million on him. He picked up an injury I think, was it earlier in the week they said?
Did he say
And
a
they were
couple of weeks
still
or a week ago?
happy to play him, despite the fact we've got 3 or 4 other players that can probably play in that 10 position. I was just a little bit annoyed about the fact that they put him at risk there, and he's ended up getting injured quite early on in that first half. I just a little bit annoyed about that. We don't know how long he's out for. There's not been any comments on that since. He certainly wasn't around yesterday for the Charlton game. And then Miyoshi just didn't get into the game at all. So it was.
You say that, but then in the second half, the opportunity that went across the box, Alfie May and Harris was close to getting onto the end of it. That was Miyoshi. So that was a moment of what he can produce. Also with Williamson, you've mentioned him there. There was a couple of moments with forward momentum. There was one in the first half where he's actually played a lovely ball down the line to Pike, that at the time obviously didn't realise it because I was nowhere. But it was when you watch it back, it was like, I don't quite know how he's managed to get the ball past the man and down the line and get it through to Pike. It was a lovely bit of play. But I think that's what I mean. There were signs from players there. I'm not Dembele's biggest fan. I wouldn't have had him starting anyway. We had this conversation a few weeks ago on the pod. For me, it would have been Hansen. And I've got
more problems with him as well, because I don't think he's got very much football intelligence. But we'll get onto that one in a minute. So the 3 changes behind May, I thought, when they brought Hansen, Harris, and Anderson on, made a big difference, and we certainly looked like the only team that were going to say come away with some score, or maybe even in winning in that second half. We certainly looked a lot better. It was still quite frustrating because there was a lot of moments and passages of play that just broke down as we got into the final third, and it was that final ball quite a lot. Obviously Hansen's cross hit. I think I would have been fairly annoyed had that been given against us, but we got a bit of luck, and sometimes you need that. And Alfie May's got his first goal. We've got the first points on the board, and if we'd been playing for another 5 or 10 minutes, I think we might have ended up getting a winner, because we just looked so much stronger in those final 10, 15 minutes. Chris
Davis said that as well, and I actually think that the chance that I was on about earlier, I think it was like 55 minutes in, and Miyoshi's played the ball in, and Alfie May and Harris, neither of them could quite get onto it. And I think if that one goes in, it's a completely different game, and we'd probably score 3 or 4 from that point. Didn't happen. And like you say, we'd have probably got a winner had we had another 10 minutes or so on there. But
I mean, we said before, like during pre-season, we were quite surprised at how quickly things were coming together. Like maybe they aren't coming together as quickly as we actually thought, because the intensity of pre-season friendlies are very different to
the real ball.
And that Reading team, obviously, we spoke about before. No changes in the summer. They're the same players that were playing last season. They all know each other. They've all got their relationships. Like they're going to be fairly well drilled and know exactly what they're doing. Whereas we're still in almost. We've got more quality, but we're still in a transitional phase.
I do think though, there are massive signs of where we've come from and where we are now, and it's already been a massive change, and the way that the way that we're moving the ball about, we're playing it around. I think Davis has said himself that little bit of incisiveness in the final third and knowing when to put a ball in, when to, like, instead of going backwards with it and wasting the opportunity, can you play the pass into the box?
Yeah,
but that's going to come. I think that's going to come with time, and as players get a bit more understanding with each other, it's going to come. It's not like they don't want to play balls into the box, and I think Davis has pointed that out, that he does want us to create chances. He wants, like, there's no point in having the ball if you're not going to use it, if you're not going to score goals. So he does want us to, but you have to, like, especially when players are sitting back there as well, you've got to be patient and wait for an opportunity, but play the right ball.
Yeah. But I agree, and I think it'll come. There's enough quality in that team, and we're going to add a little bit more as well. So I think it will come. I think the Charlton game, when that sort of first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe even half an hour, it felt like it was going to be more of the same. But what's the phrase?
Up till around the penalty, was it?
Well, not even that. When we scored, after Brandon Keller scored an absolute beauty, I thought that completely changed the way we were playing. That we just seemed to have, there seemed to be more confidence throughout the team. They were passing the ball quicker, smoother. We passed through them quite a lot as well. We were, I'd use, what's the phrase? Baiting the press with passing around the back, and we actually cut through them a number of times. The passes of play were really good. Again, it was in that final third where we just weren't creating those classes, clear-cut chances, and it was frustrating as much as it was good to see. If that makes sense.
But I think that's one of them things. Again, we're going to have to be patient, and like even through games, I think if everyone's sitting behind the ball, it's going to be really tough to create those chances, to like clear-cut chances again and again. So it might be that we don't get as many chances in certain games if teams aren't attacking us and aren't playing us and they're sitting back. It's going to be difficult to break them down, we've said before, and we're going to have to be patient, either try and create the right opportunity or we have a pop from outside the box. And there was a few of them last night as well that they started pulling the trigger.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think we only had one on target, didn't we? No, two on target, I think, maybe. And obviously one was a goal. But yeah, it's nice to see us actually trying to take shots. So we still had, I think last night we still had like 16 shots, 6 or 7 were on target. I think the Reading game was a little bit less than that, maybe 13 and then 5 on target. So
it's probably worth noting as well that they're working decent opportunities from outside the box. It's not just shoot on sight.
Yeah,
It's working and opening and then taking a shot on.
Really nice passages of play, and for last night, we just think that second half, most of the second half, and after the goal and most of the second half, we dominated. They came into it sort of the last 5 or 10 minutes. I think obviously we were down to 10 men, which we'll get onto in a second, and it was a little bit. We had less of an outlet going forward. And we were just really, I wouldn't say we were hanging on, but we were just trying to remain solid at the back, and it was a success, and I think we were worthy winners by the end of it. To be perfectly honest,
I'll tell you what though, some goal, wasn't it?
It was a great goal. It was funny because I know I messaged you guys during the game, and I'm muttering to myself like, Brandon Kelly's not a left back. He's not a left back. He's given the ball away again, and obviously he's not, and he's played out of position. I mean, I don't think it will do him any harm, to be perfectly honest. And then obviously cut inside and scored a really, really, really good goal. And
I thought there were actually moments after that where he'd sort of drifted into a centre mid position, and he looked very tidy then.
I think that was a tactical plan though, because if you look at how wide Hansen remained and was very rarely cutting in, and you expect him to do that because he's a right footer playing on the left, but he was almost playing as far out wide as possible, almost matching Laird on the right hand side. I think the plan was probably to have Keller come inside quite a lot, and they were going to try and utilise that, and he did pretty well when he did that. I think there was just a few moments where there's some passes inside that he gave away, and he was caught out of position once or twice, but I think you would expect that from certainly someone who's predominantly a centre midfielder that's played out of position, not for the first time over the last few games, but from a development point of view, I think that'll probably do him the world of good anyway. And they obviously like him because he's been involved in pretty much every game pre-season and both the competitive games so far as well.
It's worth noting as well, he was the first British South Asian to have a professional contract at the club. He'd have been the first British South Asian to start and
now
score.
To score.
Yeah, so as a city like we are, it's a nice mantle for him to have, I think.
Yeah.
Mantle, is that the right word? I think it is.
Yeah, we'll go with that. And especially in the current climate as well, I think it's really important. So yeah, it's good to see. Some good performances last night. I thought Keshi Anderson was really, really good. Talking of records, 95 minutes must be a record for him to remain on a football pitch.
Do you know what? As well, I was watching the game and I was thinking, like, he looks so much fitter than he did last year. His general play.
It's the Alex Guerrero Super Greens again, isn't it?
It must be. But it was like late in the second half, and it was like he's not blowing yet. He's like he's still
obviously
on.
Started cramping up towards the end. Although I'm sure he was winking at what he was getting. He was getting the old leg cramp stretch, and I'm sure he winked as he stood back up. So I have a feeling that might have been.
Well, there was. I'm sure they had a counter attack in the second. It might even have been the one where Sanderson got sent off, but he was running back to cover that, or to try and help cover it.
He's always been he's always worked hard. He's always put himself.
Yeah, but it was the fact that he still had the energy levels. He didn't look tight. I mean, last season we saw him at times, and he was like, he's done really well, but he's absolutely blowing by the 60th minute.
Keshi 60-minute Anderson, as I called him last season. So.
But he's like this year, like say,
it's definitely more of a focus
pre-season
on fitness, and it has to be because of the way we play. Like, these players need to be at their peak physical condition, and I thought he was great last night.
He was. Another one to mention, we obviously said about Dion Sanderson getting sent off there. I thought Clara was outstanding last night. He was my man of the match.
He was excellent. Another one that looked fairly assured on the ball, put himself about. He was quite dominant in the air, which obviously we're going to need in this league as well. But there's a tackle towards the end where he looked like he'd just... I think the tackle looked like he'd just done him for a little bit of pace. He just slide tackled and put.
You on about the one where he slid in and hooked it out for a throw?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that sort of tackle. To be fair, like that. So, he was really good, and obviously it looks like he almost definitely be starting in the next game as well.
I was thinking at the time I was watching the game, I was like, I'd start him over Sanderson as things are, but as a manager, you've got to sort of balance it and say, well, who am I going to start? Sanderson's obviously started the first couple of games, and then there's no issue for the manager now. It's like, even if you were,
he's made a decision for him, hasn't he?
Yeah, if you're in any doubt.
For me, Sanderson yesterday he actually played really well up until the handball, maybe a booking, maybe not. The second one, you see that happen all the time. But it's 2 yellows. You probably should have been a little bit smarter about it. But
I think that's the key thing: knowing that you're on a yellow, just switch on.
It took a deflection as well, so it's probably caught a little off guard. What I will say on the subject of Sanderson is that there seems to be so many people that seem desperate for him to fail, even at the detriment of the team. It's like wanting your team to lose because you want to get rid of a manager. There's a lot of it online, and I kind of find it annoying a little bit, because Davies obviously likes him enough to A, to have kept him around, B, to have started him. I think there's a lot of people that think we've seen the last of him. We've played 2 games out of a minimum of what? I guess if you count all the cup games, 51, 52 games. If people honestly think we've seen the back of him, and they think Bielik and Clara are going to have a clean disciplinary record or not get injured, then they probably need to give their heads a little bit of a wobble, because he's going to play in all the cup games, you'd imagine, as well.
There was a moment after Sanderson had gone off where Clara went down injured, and it was like, oh fucking hell,
he was hobbling a little bit, wasn't he, towards the end as well. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not defending him as such, but I think people just seem desperate for him to fail. Okay, he had a bad season last season. He let the team down in 1 or 2 areas, and we don't need to go into that. But like, the club obviously think enough of him to keep him around. He's still going to be one of the better defenders in this league as well. Should be by a long chalk. And I actually think he's looked fine. It was just those bit silly, that second yellow. Don't think he should have been booked for the first one, but yeah, we might need another centre back to complement the guys in the
I
squad.
think we've said that
potentially.
anyway, haven't we? I think we've said
But we've
probably
not seen the last of him, despite what people
No.
might hope for. We're still going to see him play multiple games this season, both in the cup and in the league. And Chris Davies looks like he doesn't suffer any falls, and he's kept him around. So, we'll see how we go. But
Well, I'll tell you what. We've discussed the games. You've just mentioned there about potentially getting another one in.
yeah,
Let's talk about the ones that we have got in. So Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning. No, Friday night was the first one. Was it
It was
Friday?
on
No,
the way.
Saturday morning was the first
Saturday
one. And then-
morning.
It was Saturday, wasn't it? Because we saw the announcement on the drive up, didn't we?
Yeah.
yes, well, you did. I was driving.
You were
Dave.
driving.
My eyes were firmly on the road.
Yokoyama was Saturday morning. Was Sam said was that Sunday?
Yes.
Monday?
No, Monday. That was Monday.
Monday.
I think it's Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what order it was.
So yeah, the teaser video for Yokoyama with Koji Miyoshi playing Mario Kart. How are we feeling about that? A little bit stereotypical, or
I mean, if they,
it's funny.
I'm not going to like. I think that these things where people get offended at
Oh no, it's not going to offend. I
on
just think
other
it's quite
people.
funny.
No, but on people's behalf, if they're in the video and they're doing it and they've got no issues with it, fuck it.
It's probably their idea. They were probably playing Mario Kart. They were just being filmed. They didn't realise.
Did we see who was better at Mario Kart though? I didn't see who won.
It's going to be the youngster, isn't it? He's not had the club interview yet, has he? So I'm assuming he doesn't speak any English. I wonder whether they'll have Koji do something with him for his club interview, or as translated. There isn't an interview, is there? I've definitely not seen it.
I haven't seen it,
No.
but then
I thought he was going to come on.
It might have been something that I missed on Saturday.
No, I don't think it's on there. But yeah, we said that we thought he might join this week, so he's in. It's an interesting one because obviously he can play wide, he can play up front, very very quick.
J League Young Player of the Month.
Apparently so, yeah. So we found out
last month as well.
Was it last couple of days? So definitely seems like someone that can make an impact off the bench, and it's probably one more for the future maybe.
But I think he'll probably be one of these players that they want to get involved. I was surprised about not having him with the cup game last night.
Well, he looked like he was coming on at half time,
Yeah.
and then because he'd stripped off, then he'd put everything back on and sat back down on the bench. I'm like, well, what's going on there?
Whether it was that they thought it might be a little bit too close and not wanting to, I don't know.
It's strange. I mean, maybe if we were 2-0 up or something, they may have gone with it. But he looks an exciting talent. It sounded like Craig Gardner beat off a few people to get to him again. So well done, Craig. Good stamina, mate. Good stamina.
The one Sam said.
So we did see him yesterday, and I will say, his anticipation as a defender. I know it was only like a small sample size. Absolutely spot on. Really impressed with the way he intercepted a couple of passes into players. He was very, very tight to his man. Just played it simple. He's not going to be that marauding right-sided right back, right wing back sort of thing that Laird does. And I think statistically,
A bit more conservative than that.
Yeah, Blues Breakdown sort of said this is what his numbers will look like, and he definitely looks more like a defensive right back, which I think having that balance is a good thing.
I did read something though that said that at his previous club,
Bodo
that he was a bit more attacking, a bit more involved going
It
forward.
may be the way they've set up, so it could be based on the data they've used. They've found that he's going to be he could offer a bit of balance down the side, but certainly looks robust, and really defensively looks solid.
Like you say, we didn't get to see much of him, but I thought that he looked quite impressive for
I was quietly impressed with him. Yeah.
I was surprised that he didn't get a little bit longer, to be honest with you, with Laird's injury history.
I think he'd probably only really had maybe 1 or 2 training sessions, so I guess from that point of view, it's just you bring him on maybe just to shore things, tighten things up a little bit, and did well. I was quite impressed. Obviously, last week before we did the preview for the Reading game, JJ was still a Blues player. So, was that the day before? Was it? I think that all came
yeah,
out?
it was around then, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah. So that's all gone through fairly quickly. Good luck to him. I as pre-season went on, I thought he might stay, and I kind of hoped he'd stay because I thought he played really well. And
we'd said that, didn't we? We said in the last episode, is it that we've said we'll build a team around you and whatever else? Apparently not, or they had, and it hasn't gone that way. But I mean, I don't think there's any harm in the way that we have had him playing, because it still allowed us to try and develop the way that we're going to play as a team, up to the point that we'd signed Leonard, and then we could go, right, JJ's gone, we can bring him in. So it hasn't held us back in our development terms.
You'd hope that we're going to bring in another midfielder, if hopefully before the Wycombe game, but we'll see if something happens there. It apparently seems that we are willing to let George Hall go out on loan now as well, as reported by Alex Dickin last night. I think we did mention that when we were talking about players that might leave on loan last week. So I'm not surprised. Yeah,
I was given a whisper that Ramel Donovan might be allowed to take a loan as well.
I wouldn't be against that. It depends how they see, how they best see his development. Because the problem with League One is, compared to Championship, we only get 7 subs now as well. So there are going to be good players that are always going to miss out on that match day squad.
Yeah.
League Cup, you'll get your 9 subs, but
was it Roberts in the first one that missed out, which was
Roberts missed out obviously with Willemsen being out as well. But we had 2 extra subs yesterday against Charlton. I'm not sure about the Bristol Street Motors. Based on that, maybe they only have 3 subs. I don't know. But I'm assuming it's 5 or 7 for
11
for Bristol Street Motors. That'd be great if they did that.
Just for the Premier League under 21 team, so that they can have like chock-a-block squads. That's what it is.
Yeah. So I'm pretty relaxed about George Hall going on loan. I think he needs proper game time. I think we said before, just have to make sure he's being managed properly, because he's had a really harsh a couple of seasons with injuries. Ramel Donovan, if they do let him go, then it really, really has to be for the right club. I have a feeling that they might keep him around though, but we'll see what happens. But I haven't seen any other rumours or transfer news, heard anything. It's been very quiet since the weekend. I'm hoping that we're going to see a surprise over the next few days, and maybe a striker, maybe a centre midfielder.
And on that point, the one that everyone's been saying, will it be Jay Stansfield? Fulham have literally just put out a tweet saying Jay Stansfield's their player and they're going to keep him around and involve him. So
I'm not surprised. I think there's a lot of people that were getting very excited about something that was just never, in my eyes, was going to be very, very difficult to do and was probably never going to happen. There's a lot of people seems to have other ideas and have other sources that told them it was in the pipeline, but I just didn't see it.
Well, we'd been told that it wasn't. So the actual tweet says, on Jay Stansfield, everything we had planned for him in the past seasons has happened. He will be a player for this football club.
Yep.
So there you go.
There we go. Either that or they're just looking for an extra 5 million on top of his fee.
So like 35. We haven't spent anywhere near the 700 million that we were going to spend anyway. So why not?
No, we haven't.
Throw a little bit at it.
There's still time yet. It's still another couple of weeks, isn't there, before the window changes?
There is. Do the deal.
Right, it's back for its second version, new feature this season. Chewy?
Yeah. So I've actually, I said last week that I'd get you a jingle done. I've got one done for you. this is its first airing. You might not like it, but I've done it anyway.
Oh, around the league.
Are we? Is it around the SPL?
No, I just thought that I'd do some. I knew a Scottish guy. I thought it'd sound funny in a Scottish accent. So there you go.
You got 7 days to basically do it in a Northern Irish accent.
Yeah, I don't know any Northern Irish people there.
So
if you're a Northern Irish blues fan and you can do that for us, please drop us a message.
Yeah.
You want to play it one more time, Chris? No.
I'll do it. I will at the end.
Okay. So maybe outshone by this week's jingle for it, but so yeah, a couple of things here actually involving our past two opponents. Mark Bowen, people remember him from when he was Steve Bruce's number 2 at Blues quite a few years back. He has just been suspended for 12 weeks for betting between April 22 and Jan 24. 8-week suspension. Not quite sure what he was betting on, but apparently he was betting for other people. I'm sure we all believe that, Mark.
Tony. Maybe.
Sounds like, yeah, it sounds like a legitimate excuse. Apparently, Mark Bowen is now a monitored customer on whichever betting platform he was using.
He might have just been betting on Strictly or something. Or was it football?
Yeah, it's football, isn't it? It's always has to be football related. So there's another one which I was unsure whether to bring this one up, but I just thought it was a little bit funny and based on the current climate. So Charlton Athletic have had a long-term sponsor from a lifelong fan. Company is called We Are Brand New. The chap was called Darren New. He was pretty much outed as a supporter and of the EDL and Tommy Robinson, and he'd been retweeting and commenting on loads of Tommy Robinson and EDL posts on Twitter recently, and the club has seen it and basically said, "Do one. We're a club of
inclusivity."
I think that's right. Yeah.
Well, you've got exclusivity, so I assume that you've got inclusivity.
So he's apologised and taken his tweets down and says he doesn't support him, but he does support some of his views.
That's what they all say.
Yeah, of course.
That's what they all
I'm not
say.
racist in any way or form. I said, well, okay, fair enough.
I just happen to tweet support for him. It doesn't mean that I support him. So it just made me chuckle a little bit that actually Charlton had him as a long-term sponsor for quite a number of years and only found out after monitoring his Twitter account recently. So shows things are coming to a head a little bit, chaps. But that's it this week. I'm afraid your jingle is probably far more interesting than those two little bits that I sought out this afternoon.
Oh, around the league.
And we look forward to having a Northern Irish version of that in time for next week.
I'm sure you can get someone to do that for us, Chris.
Jerry Adams?
Yeah, maybe I can ask Jerry Adams.
No, but I just meant you.
I'll ask him when I'll ask him when I give him his glasses back and see if he's up for doing it.
Have a word.
So we do a quick Wagner of the week, Dave?
Yeah, we can do. Wagner of the week. I think we need some little videos to go with these to put over the top when we introduce them, so that we can.
Or just you dancing. I mean, it's as entertaining. This week, we know you're already in exile, but we're going to give you Wagner of the week, Chris, as well, for your nail painting, for the initial desire to show solidarity. Give us your fingers. Show us your fingers.
They're gone now.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's little bits left, but yeah, they're gone. Oh, hang on. There's a little bit there. Look. I don't know if you can see that. A little bit left there.
Well, what ended in
disgrace.
No, it ended in
it-
disgrace. At
no,
least
it-
started with good intentions. For
It-
those that you don't know, it started with you. We were in Digbeth, weren't we? And it started with you. I don't think we've ever seen anyone run to Primark as quick as you ran to
Didn't get our
Primark.
sunglasses for me, did you?
No, you would.
I didn't see your text until
I
Sunday.
did shout you about 5 times. I don't know how you managed to not hear me because I shouted to it, Chris, before you go, Chris.
You know, I've said how pissed I was.
running into Primark with a peach beer in your hand, finding I would say the closest to blue that you could find, but it wasn't
The closest to blue that they had.
really. They had.
It was that or pink, I think.
Again,
Yeah.
got 7 days between the next podcast to try and to pop into Primark and actually get.
Do you know what the stupid thing is? My missus said that if I'd have asked her, she's got about 3 bottles of blue nail polish varnish.
Well, next home game, we'll see you with your blue and white fingers.
I will.
But again,
I will.
we joke about it, but it did come from good intentions. It did end in
absolutely.
disgrace, but at least you deserve both this week. So
I support your decision. So it offsets in view.
So I haven't got to go to Cornell.
You can still go, but you just take your random of the
you
week
can,
off.
but you're a hero there. Yeah,
I can go, but I can come back.
Yeah.
yeah. Or you can go, but you're a hero there.
Okay. I'll take that. Thank you, boys. Thank you.
On to Wycombe.
Yeah. You know what? There's so many games this season, I think, that are going to be hard to know what you're going to get. And that's where it's like a new unknown for us a little bit. The unknown for us a little bit.
Was it known knowns, unknown unknowns?
known
was that classic
unknowns.
speech, wasn't there?
Well, I'll tell you what. So we've got a video from George from the Wycombe Way. Let's see what he has to say first, and then we'll have a chat about it.
My thoughts on Wycombe's season so far are that we've had 2 very different games. Wrexham, we went on the opening day and lost. The atmosphere at the racecourse is something that I haven't seen in League One for a number of years. As a Wycombe fan, I don't think Wrexham were particularly good footballing wise, but the atmosphere carried them through, and it will carry them through against some really, really good teams in this league. Northampton in the cup, we were very, very good. Northampton were poor, which obviously aided us, of course. But going forward, we created plenty of chances, caused them issues, and we could have had more goals. So, based on the first 2 games, there's cautious optimism. I don't think you can read too much into the Wrexham defeat. But as well, we can't get too high over the win against Northampton. I think we need a few more bodies in before the deadline at the end of the month. But I'm sure they'll come, and I'm sure we'll bring in some quality. My hopes and expectations for the season, I just want Wycombe to compete for a top 6 place. Whether we finish in the top 6 is a different matter entirely, because this is the strongest league I've ever seen at this level. You guys have come down with Rotherham and Huddersfield, 3 of the strongest teams on paper, to have played at this level, and even the teams who have come up. When you look at Wrexham, Mansfield, Stockport, and even Crawley, to give them their credit, they've recruited well. I think Scott Leeds is an excellent manager. I just think that whilst Wycombe have improved year on year, I think the strength of this league has improved as well. And I don't know if Wycombe necessarily have the finances or the resources to really challenge the boys at the top. But I hope that, just for our sake, and we can have a good season, an enjoyable season, and hopefully by the end of the season we are sort of in and around the hunt for the playoffs. Where do Birmingham need to be careful of? Probably our wide areas. Our wide areas, and up front we've got an awful lot of pace and power. Danado especially played really, really well last night. Not the biggest striker, but really, really powerful, really, really quick. He can finish as well. Gavin McCleary and Sally on the wings have got pace in abundance, and Richard Kone is slowly but surely finding his feet at this level. I think you might have a bit of joy going forward, because we don't seem to have sort of found any sort of defensive assurance just yet. But then it looks like you guys have struggled a little bit defensively. at the weekend against Reading. So I think there could be a few goals this weekend. My thoughts on Birmingham are that you should walk the league. Not just because of the money you spent, because I think you spent it on really good players. I don't think you've spent it for the sake of spending it. But even the team you've come down with is on paper probably too good for this league. But was too good to come down from the Championship. But you haven't just added players who have got good stock. You've added players who have done it at League One level in recent years. Alfie May scores goals in League One, always scores against Wycombe, so I expect him to bag this weekend. Ryan Len as well from Brighton had a really good loan spell at Northampton last year, so he's going to be a key player for you guys. And then obviously the players you've brought in from abroad are probably some of the best players at this level we'll ever have seen. And so there's no reason that you guys shouldn't win the league by a good number of points, a good margin. I just hope that for your sake you don't get stuck in this league like Sunderland, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, Derby did, because it can turn nasty and it can turn ugly very, very quickly. I hope that for the fans and for the owners who have spent this money, you make a quick return to the Championship. But in terms of this Saturday, I've got to back my team. I've got to back the home team. I do think there will be goals. I do want there to be goals. And so I'm going to say that Wycombe are going to just about edge a 4-3 thriller. And it's going to be one of the games of the season on game day 2.
Thanks for that, George. It's a 4-3 thriller. I mean, it'd be an interesting game, I think. I'd be pleased to see some goals, if I'm honest. But
doesn't do your clean sheet look any good, though, does it? I'd like
to. Well, no, that's true. 4-0 Blues then. It's an interesting one for him to say though that they're scoring goals, because as we said earlier, we're playing good football, but we're not really looking a massive threat in front of goal at the moment. We're hoping that will come. It's obviously there for them, but they look a bit more open at the back. Pace is probably a bit of a worry for us, I would think, especially on the counter-attack. That if we get caught out higher
Reading
up the pitch.
And Charlton both looked quite quick when they broke on the counter against us, and I think that was kind of worrying. Although a lot of the times we did recover fairly well. That was one of the things that stuck out for me. He's quite right. It's very hard to gauge how good they are against that Wrexham team. Okay, we don't know how good the Wrexham team are, but you know they had more possession than Wrexham. They created quite a lot of chances. I think he said there they missed a few sitters as well. So they're obviously they obviously have the ability to open teams up. I'd like to say we might be more defensively solid than both Northampton and Wycombe, but I'm not sure whether we are or yet.
No, not convinced.
It's very hard to tell this early on, I think.
But that new centre-back pairing, you think might shore things up a little bit. Obviously, it's going to be fresh though, and they've got to
it's
get
a
used to each other,
isn't it? Yeah, so we've got to see how the partnership develops, and sometimes I still think we needed someone that's a little bit a midfielder that's technically good but has a little bit more defensive nous as well, which we at the moment we haven't got. But JJ did have a little bit of that, and I think we need someone else that can drop in there and maybe do something. But that's not going to happen before the Wycombe game, at least I don't think it is. So I think this is a really difficult one to call. Again, I think he might be right about goals, because it's clear you can create chances against them, but they're going to be able to probably try and hit us on the counter and try and force some errors. And
which I think we in the conversations that we've had as well, that's probably the most likely place that we're going to get hurt by teams, I would think, this season.
Well, quick stat for you, gents. He was calling. I forget our Wycombe opinion provider's name now already. George. Thank you, George. There were 7 goals. There was a 7-goal thriller, but you got to go back 24 years for it, and it was 4-3 to Blues. So not unprecedented, but you're going back some way for that.
I'm a bit nervy about it now.
I am. I think there will be goals. So let's have a think. Like, quick.
There's your title. There will be goals.
There will be goals. Goals. There will be goals. Lineup. Would you bring Allsop in, or would you stick with Peacock Farrell?
Do you know what? I think I might. I think we looked a bit more assured against Charlton.
He's definitely on with his feet. There's definitely. I mean, I think we knew that anyway. There's a definite difference with his feet. We didn't even talk about the penalty save. But I mean, I think, I could have took a flight.
You could have felt to that.
Ran off the plane out of the airport and still managed to get down and save that myself, because it wasn't hit with very much conviction, was it? But
my mum could have tripped over and fell and saved that, to be fair. So yeah,
it may have just
wasn't a
tripped
great
over himself. But I mean,
you've got to go the right way.
From the goalkeeping point, from the fundamental point of view,
fall the right way.
And passing the ball out, and then obviously to take the pressure off towards the end of the game, he was hitting it a little bit longer as well, which was actually good to see us do that, just to take the pressure off. I can see why people would go for it. I have a feeling that Allsop remains the cup goalkeeper until he's not. That sounds obvious, doesn't it?
Good opinion there.
I have a feeling that Davies. I think Davies has lent towards Peacock Farrell as the number one keeper for the league, and I think that will probably remain the same. Defence, you just swap in Clara for Sanderson, right?
I think so.
Sticking with lads.
Yeah. Not
attacking.
As impressed as we were with Sampson the other night, it was like it's not enough to just come in and take that position, I don't think. And it might be that you have a look, see how the game goes, and it's, if you get a lead, then you go, right, okay, we want to put someone with a bit more defensive solidarity on there. Solidity? Not solidarity.
It's not solidarity.
No.
Solidity. Yeah.
I'm all about the solidarity, you see. That's where
I'm
my
on board with that. I think like for Laird gets up and down like really, really well, and he is a creator without actually, the end product is sometimes missing, but the fact that he starts a lot of moves and is involved in a lot of the moments the good moments we create, I think is quite important. And I've seen I saw a lot of people like getting really aggy with him, and heard people getting aggy with him on Saturday. And again, there was a few comments about him online. He's still one of the best right backs in the league, and he will be, providing he stays fit. We're going to be quite fortunate. We're going to have two very good fullbacks on both sides. So he remains for me. We've got no other options in Paik and Leonard in the middle as it stands for me. You just and it's so Alfie May is
there's Tyler Roberts, isn't there?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't
think he trumps those.
You notice more and more he sort of pushed forward yesterday as well, and almost play. I think him and Paris almost switched around at some points. I'm intrigued to see the three behind May, because
I think Anderson's done enough.
Anderson probably, I think he stays. Yeah, the other two for me are still up for grabs.
No, I think Hansen's got it. I know that you said earlier, you alluded to his.
With Hansen, and I had this conversation with someone else who listens to the podcast, and actually he mentioned to me, and I just agreed with him. But I think my worry is that like he looks great on the ball when he's carrying the ball and trying to go and pass players, but I don't. It's something about his decision making, which sometimes is always what's the word? A lot of wingers have issues with the decision making, and sometimes you just think like, I don't feel like he knows where to be half the time. Doesn't know where he should be passing
off
the ball.
The ball, out of possession. Do you mean?
And when he has possession as well.
I think he's very good with the ball.
I'm not, but he's great carrying the ball.
Yeah,
but I don't know. After he reminds me more of like, I tell you, and people will probably laugh at this. He reminds me of Jesper Gronka.
I can't see that at all.
You can run at players, run past players, but then he just doesn't really know what to do. And I'm struggling with him.
I get that more from Dembele than I do from Hansen.
But I feel like we might get a bit more of an output from Dembele. He's a little bit more direct.
I don't think so. I think that we'll get more. I think that Hansen's more carry the ball, will then, right, I'm going to put a cross in, or he'll bring someone else into play. Whereas Dembele, for me, will then go.
Yeah, he doesn't always bring people into play, though. I was quite I found him quite frustrating yesterday, and on Saturday actually, despite the fact he won the penalty. But he wasn't as frustrating as Dembele on Saturday, but.
Not for me. I think that one's Hansen's place to lose now.
I don't think I'd play Luke Harris on. He was fairly anonymous last night. I was quite disappointed with him.
Right. Idea.
Go on.
Miyoshi in the middle.
In the 10. Yeah, could work. I think I'd be
played there a few times last season, I think.
You may even see Miyoshi stay out on the right and have Anderson playing in that 10. That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I guess the thing with Harris as well, not to because he did look good when he came on Saturday, but I thought he was quite underwhelming last night. But again, not been with the squad that long. I don't know how much of a pre-season he's had with Fulham as well, so he might be building up fitness. He did put himself about a bit, and he got into a few good positions, but for a lot of the time, I just found him was maybe like a little bit anonymous, to be honest. But so I think that 10 role at the moment is up for grabs, and there's a number of players you could probably.
That's assuming as well that Willemsen's not going to be.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow, won't we, on Thursday, what the issue is there. But I mean,
I think when we're doing these podcasts, you really need to stop referring to yesterday, tomorrow, today. When people are listening to it in 3 days' time, we'll find out tomorrow.
So work it out, lads. Work it out, ladies and gentlemen. You figure out what they recorded it. They'll know. So tomorrow's Thursday, so it must be the.
Right. Let's have a listen to some. Well, let's get some predictions in, and first of all we're going to go to Tamworth Brummy Derby Joe.
Oh guys, it's Brummy Joe here, slash Derby Joe, slash Tammy Joe, slash Brummy Dad. Big fan of the podcast. Appreciate you having me on. Gonna try and keep this relatively quick. I'm optimistic this season, and I'm going to be optimistic with my prediction now. I think anyone's trying to find reasons to not be. Because we're just like, oh, it's Blues. We're going to find a way to make it difficult. This is part of the problem. I don't want to go on a rant, but it's part of the problem. Oh, what if people don't like us? I don't care. Oh, people think we're arrogant. Listen, we deserve this. We've had 13 years of rubbish. So if I'm going to be a little bit arrogant, I'm going to do it, and I don't care. Anyway, 3-0 Blues. You know what? Actually, no. In honour of Jerry, me dad, I'm going to go 4-1. And I think, obviously Alfie May will get one, but Luke Harris will get a goal, and we'll see a little bit about what he's about and why we got him. So yeah, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it as always. Sorry for rambling. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks for that, Joe. And congratulations to you and Abby as well. I know that I've said it privately to you, but congratulations from all of us on the pod.
Congratulations. Don't have 4.
4-1. And so I've asked Joe which goal scorer he wants to go with. Does he want to go with Alfie May or Luke Harris? And he's chosen Alfie May, unsurprisingly. That we will have a leaderboard for these, by the way, when we get a few more people. And should we look at our leaderboard? Let's put it on the screen now. There we go. So there you go. We've all just got 1 bonus point
for Alfie.
We were all wrong, and Lee last week was wrong as well, but not this week. Not this week. Someone's got to get at least the result. Maybe not the score, but the result. So, Vegan, you go first. What are we having?
I'm going for 1-0 May.
So all of that about high scoring games.
Yeah,
and
no, I'm
being
thinking, I'm
open.
thinking a much tighter game. You know, it's not going to be a high scoring game. Despite what both opinions we've had so far. Quite a tense affair, but May to nick it for us.
So 1-0 in May.
Yep.
Chewy?
Ooh, I've changed my mind about 4 times since listening to Romy, Joe and Dave having his prediction as well. I was going to go 2-2. Yeah. And then I was airing 3-2 to Wycombe. But I'm going to go 2-1 Blues. And Alfie
Score.
May.
Alfie May. Well, yeah, we're gonna.
This is like having like
the Alfie May thing.
Haaland in your fantasy.
Right, the Alfie
League
May
team,
thing
isn't
might
it?
be a bit of a cheat code.
This is what I mean.
So
It's like having,
this might have to be the last week that we're allowed to choose an Alfie May.
is that it now? So you have to.
So
Yeah.
you allowed him
Is it
and one. You allowed him
an
and one
anytime
other.
goal
No, not
scorer?
him and one other. Just not him. Right. I'm going different. I'm not going to say Alfie May. I think that it will score, but I'm just going to be brave and not use him. And I'm going to go 4-2 Blues. What? Okay, that's not 6-0 levels.
It's still 6 goals.
Still 6
You're
goals.
just going to go for 6 goals each prediction.
Just the different divisions. of
6
it.
goal golding.
My worry is I just think we're still going to see quite a few mistakes. It's almost. Do you remember watching Southampton at the beginning of the Championship season last season, where they were just like they looked like they were passing themselves to death and just causing themselves no end of problems. And let's look how much they improved as the season went on, and they got promoted in the end.
That's
as well.
what I was going to say. It improved. It
Early
clicked.
doors. I just think we're going to struggle quite a bit with this. It'll come and we'll get more comfortable, and I think we'll have a few scares on Saturday. But I'm going to try and be positive, because obviously I said we'd get beat by Charlton and we didn't. So I'll go I'm sticking with 2-1 Blues. Yeah.
Right, so I'm going 4-2, and I'm going Keshi Anderson.
That'd be nice if he did.
Would be
score.
nice.
He's only
All
scored
6.
1 goal, hasn't he?
No, not all 6, just 1. Well, you never know, but I hope not all 6. I think that'd be some performance. 2 own goals and 4 at the other end.
Still take it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, yeah. Thank you to everyone for listening. I think that we're pretty much done here.
Yeah.
Are we?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week to dissect the 4-2 win over Wycombe. And until then, keep right on.
Keep right on.
Keep right on.